I am not a career politician. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm a guy who likes numbers. I'm a problem solver.
How many of you know a lot about universal basic income? Raise your hand if you know a lot.
We have to have our own vision and have the courage to say, if we invest in ourselves, then we will all win.
I'm Andrew Yang. I'm running for president as a Democrat in 2020.
Your central platform is on universal basic income. And I think this is a concept that sounds interesting if you just hear the term universal basic income, right? Can you explain what exactly it is that means?
So universal basic income would be a $1,000 dividend for every American adult citizen every month under my plan, the Freedom Dividend.
What do you think the American economy would actually look like under that? How do you think we change from what the economy looks like right now?
Well, the great thing is the economy would start working better for us because if you look at what happens in practical terms with an extra $1,000 a month, people's nutrition improves, kids' ability to learn goes up and graduation rates go up over time, stress levels improve, mental health improves. It would create over 2 million new jobs directly in the economy because the money would circulate through local businesses, and then each of those businesses would then have to turn around and hire an extra worker or two. And so it's very pro-work, and the great thing is that it would allow Americans to all participate in the consumer economy and keep businesses strong, because what's really bad for businesses is when people don't have money to spend or participate.
So there's a lot of critics of this who say that this kind of amounts to a pipe dream, that it's something that sounds beautiful, but it's never going to work out in practicality. They cite the cost of the program. What would you say to your detractors?
So one of the key ways we pay for this Freedom Dividend is you look up and say, okay, 30% of American malls and stores are closing in the next 4 years because Amazon is sucking up $20 billion in e-commerce every year. And then you say, okay, well, how much is Amazon paying in federal taxes? And you find that number is zero. So then you say, okay, so how do we make it so that a $1 trillion tech company doesn't get away with zero taxes? Because it's not their fault, it's our fault. We just must have designed a very, very faulty system that allows that to happen. And so the big change we have to make is we have to join every other advanced economy in the world and have a value-added tax, which would then give the American public a tiny slice of every Amazon sale, every Google search, every Facebook ad, every robot truck mile. And because our economy now is so massive at $20 trillion, up $5 trillion in the last 12 years, a value-added tax at even half the European level would generate $800 billion in new revenue, which combined with current spending, economic growth, cost savings, and the value gains from having a stronger, healthier, more educated population would pay for a $1,000 dividend for every adult.
What would you say to people who say, well, that could actually lead to inflation that gets passed on to consumers?
There would likely be some mild price increase associated with the VAT, but you have to keep in mind you're taking every dollar from the VAT and then some and putting it into the hands of American consumers. You could also structure the VAT so that it falls more heavily on luxury goods than consumer staples, as one example. And so there are ways to tailor the VAT so that it ends up, again, getting you some of the gains from all this incredible innovation without falling disproportionately on working class Americans.
This is obviously part of a broader set of changes to social programs that you'd want to make. How would UBI work against existing social programs that there are now? Like, would this come at the expense of costs to, say, welfare or food stamps or Medicare or Medicaid, or is it part of a more comprehensive package?
The last thing I want to do is deprive Americans from programs that they need or are using to really get by and pay their bills on a monthly basis. And so my plan is to make this Freedom Dividend opt-in. But if you opt in, then you're choosing to forego benefits from pre-existing welfare programs. So if you're currently getting more than $1,000 in benefits, then you say no thanks, and then your life is much as it is now. Though you'll have a benefit if you have children, that when that child turns 18, then he or she's going to start getting $1,000 a month, and that'll be a game changer for your family. If you're not currently on a program, then you opt in, then you get the $1,000. So what this does is it does bring down the price tag for the Freedom Dividend very quickly, because many people would not opt to join, or if they did opt in, it would cost much less than $1,000 a month. It would cost the difference between what they're getting now and $1,000 a month.
So there are a number of cities that have actually started UBI programs, sort of pilot programs, but those are more kind of structured like welfare programs. They're not this straight $1,000, kind of cash to every single person. Do you worry that maybe that sort of muddies your message about what exactly this freedom dividend is?
Well, I love the trials. I'm friends with many of the people that are behind the trials, but I agree with you that most of them are not actual universal basic income in their design or scale. And that's a limitation that happens when you have private philanthropists essentially saying, here's a few $1,000,000, and then you have limitations on what you can do with that set of money. So if you want genuine trials, you have to go bigger. And this is something that the government actually did and led. It's almost unimaginable now, but imagine the US government saying, hey, we're gonna start giving lots of people cash. We should try that out in a bunch of places and see how it goes. That's exactly what we did in the 60s, and the results were very positive on many levels. It's just now that's unfathomable, where now our government doesn't have its act together enough to do that, so we're relying upon private philanthropy in many cases. But I'm positive about the trials because the more people waking up to the reality that cash actually improves people's lives, the better.